It all began on a crisp autumn morning in New York. The city hummed with life, but inside her tiny apartment, Claire sat frozen on her couch, gripping her phone like it held the answer to all her problems. She had just scrolled past a picture on Instagram, her closest friends at a cozy cabin in Vermont, all smiles, wrapped in thick sweaters, toasting mugs of hot cider. She wasn't in the picture. Claire felt the familiar pang of rejection, the tight knot forming in her stomach. Had she done something wrong? Had she been too distant lately? She wanted to text one of them, casually ask how the trip was, but deep down, she knew what she was really searching for: validation. Reassurance that she hadn't been forgotten, that she still mattered. Before she could spiral further, her phone buzzed with a call from her older sister, Olivia. "You good?" Olivia's voice was warm but firm. Claire hesitated. "Yeah, just saw something that threw me off." Olivia said knowingly, "Let me guess. You weren't invited to something?" Claire sighed. "How do you always know?" "Because I've been there, and because I've been reading this book, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Ever heard of it?" Claire hadn't, but something about the title made her pause. "What's it about?" "It's basically about learning to let people be who they are, without feeling the need to control their choices, their opinions, or their behavior. And more importantly, it's about letting yourself live freely instead of constantly reacting to what other people do." Claire ran a hand through her hair. "Sounds easier said than done." "Yeah, but it makes sense. Think about it. Your friends went on a trip. You weren't invited. Instead of making it about you, what if you just let them? Let them make their choices. Let them have their plans. And then ask yourself, what do I want to do for me?" Claire let the words sink in. Olivia continued, "It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about understanding that their decision doesn't define your worth." Claire leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling. "I don't know how to let go like that." "Well, maybe it's time to start." Olivia's voice softened. "Come over tonight. We'll talk more." That evening, Claire sat in Olivia's living room, a mug of tea warming her hands as Olivia placed the book in front of her. She skimmed the pages, stopping at a passage that struck a chord. "People will do what they want to do. Let them. The real question is, what will you do with your energy, your time, your life?" Claire exhaled. "So you're saying I should just accept it and move on?" "Not just move on, move forward. There's a difference." Claire thought back to all the times she had obsessed over friendships, relationships, even work situations where she felt overlooked or dismissed. She had spent so much energy trying to control how others saw her, making sure she was always included, always liked, and yet here she was, exhausted, anxious, and still feeling left out. Maybe Olivia was right. Maybe Mel Robbins was right. Maybe it was time to let them. The next morning, Claire woke up with a strange sense of lightness. It wasn't that all her worries had magically disappeared, but something about Olivia's words and the let them theory lingered in her mind. Let them. She repeated the phrase as she got ready for work, sipping her coffee while staring out the window. Maybe she could let them. Maybe she didn't need to analyze every social interaction, every exclusion, every moment where someone else's choices didn't align with what she wanted. Still, the sting remained. At work, Claire buried herself in emails, but her mind kept drifting. Let them. It sounded freeing in theory, but what did it actually look like in practice? How could she stop caring so much about things she had no control over? The answer arrived unexpectedly in the form of her coworker, James. "Hey," he said, leaning against her desk. "You okay? You seem kind of tense." Claire forced a smile. "Just overthinking things, as usual." James grinned. "Ah, the classic Claire move." She rolled her eyes. "Very funny." "No, seriously, what's up?" She hesitated. Normally she wouldn't open up at work, but James had always been easy to talk to. Just feeling left out, I guess. James nodded knowingly. Friends? Yeah, they went on a trip without me, and it's stupid, I know, but I keep wondering why. Not stupid, he said, just human. She sighed. My sister gave me this book, The Let Them Theory, and the whole idea is that I should just let people do what they want without taking it personally. But how do you actually do that? James thought for a moment. It's like this. You ever try holding onto something too tight? A handful of sand, for example. Claire nodded. The tighter you grip it, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you relax your hand, it just sits there. You don't lose it. You just stop suffocating it. She stared at him. That's actually really deep. James shrugged. I have my moments. Claire laughed. So, you're saying I need to stop gripping so hard? Exactly. Let them do their thing, and you, do yours. That night, Claire picked up the Let Them Theory again, flipping through pages until she landed on a section about fearing other people's opinions. Let them think what they want. Let them assume what they assume. You don't have to control their perception of you. Your energy is better spent on living your life, not managing their thoughts. She closed the book and took a deep breath. Maybe it was time to put this into practice. The next weekend, Claire did something out of character. She planned a solo day. No waiting around for someone to invite her. No obsessing over what others were doing. Just her, making choices for herself. She started with a long morning walk in Central Park, the crisp autumn air filling her lungs. Instead of scrolling through her phone, she took in the sights, the golden leaves crunching beneath her boots, the way the sun cast long shadows on the path, the laughter of kids chasing pigeons. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't thinking about anyone else. From there, she took herself to a little cafe she had been meaning to try for months. She ordered a lavender latte and sat by the window watching people pass by. And then something remarkable happened. For the first time since seeing that Vermont trip, she didn't feel left out. She felt peaceful. Not because she had forced herself to feel better, but because she had stopped waiting for others to make her feel included. She had included herself. That night, she texted Olivia, Claire, let them doesn't mean ignoring my feelings. It just means accepting that people will do what they do, and I get to decide what I do next. Olivia, yes, you finally cracked the code. Claire smiled. Maybe she was starting to get the hang of this. But life, of course, had other plans. A few days later, she got a call from her mom. I just don't understand why your cousin didn't invite me to her wedding, her mom huffed. I mean, after everything I've done for her? Claire nearly laughed out loud. Mom, she said, I have the perfect book for you. Oh, please. I don't need a book. I need answers. Claire shook her head, smiling. No, you need to let them. Her mom scoffed. Let them? Let them what? Get away with excluding me. Let them make their choices, Claire said, and then you get to choose how much energy you give it. Silence. Then, that actually makes sense, her mom admitted. Claire smirked. Told you. That weekend, Claire got a text from one of the Vermont trip friends, Sarah. Sarah. Hey, we're getting brunch Sunday. Want to come? Claire stared at the message. A week ago, she would have overanalyzed it. Are they inviting me out of guilt? Is this just an afterthought? But now? Now she knew that none of that mattered. Let them invite her. Let them not invite her. Let them do whatever they wanted. The real question was, what did she want? And right now, she wanted mimosas and pancakes. Claire, sounds great. See you then. She put down her phone and smiled. She wasn't overthinking. She wasn't second-guessing. She was just living, and that was more than enough. Sunday morning, Claire walked into the brunch spot feeling different. Not in the anxious, overthinking way she usually did before social gatherings, but in a way that felt lighter. She wasn't here to dissect every interaction. She wasn't here to prove anything. She was just here to enjoy herself. When she spotted her friends, they waved her over. "There she is!" Sarah grinned, scooting over to make room. Claire slid into the booth, glancing around the table. The group was the same one from the Vermont trip, the same people who had unknowingly sent her, spiraling just days ago. And yet, she didn't feel the sting anymore. The server arrived, taking their orders. As the conversation flowed, Claire found herself laughing, chiming in, genuinely enjoying the moment. Then, mid-conversation, she noticed something. The Vermont trip? It hadn't even come up. No rehashing of memories, no inside jokes that she wasn't part of, nothing. It hit her then. She had built the entire thing up in her head. She had spent days feeling excluded, turning the trip into this monumental symbol of rejection, when in reality it had been just another weekend for them. No one had been plotting against her. No one had intentionally left her out. They had simply gone on a trip, and she had let it consume her. Claire smiled to herself, sipping her mimosa. Never again. Later that evening, Claire sat in her apartment, scrolling through her phone when she noticed a notification. An old friend, one she hadn't spoken to in over a year, had liked one of her photos. A memory flickered. This was the same friend she had drifted from, the one she used to text daily, the one she had quietly resented for pulling away. For months, Claire had wrestled with the loss of their friendship. She had replayed every conversation, trying to pinpoint what went wrong. And now, here she was, hovering over her screen, debating whether to message her. The old Claire would have agonized. What if she doesn't respond? What if she thinks I'm desperate? But Claire wasn't that person anymore. She exhaled, tapped the screen, and typed a simple message. Claire, hey, it's been a while. Hope you're doing well? No overthinking, no expectations. Just letting go. 5 minutes later, a reply came in. Mia, Claire, I was just thinking about you. Let's catch up soon? Claire grinned. Let them drift. Let them come back. Either way, she was at peace. A week later, Claire found herself in another situation that tested her newfound mindset. At work, she had been preparing for a big client pitch, a presentation that could land their firm a huge deal. She had worked tirelessly, fine-tuning every slide, rehearsing every word. But at the last minute, her manager decided to let her coworker, Daniel, present instead. Claire sat frozen in the conference room as the decision was made. Her first instinct, rage, frustration, a bubbling sense of, this isn't fair. But then, another voice cut through. Let them give the opportunity to Daniel. Claire closed her eyes briefly, inhaling deeply. She could sit here and stew. She could make this about her worth, about favoritism, about office politics. Or she could let them, and then decide what she wanted to do next. By the time the meeting ended, Claire had made a decision. Instead of sulking, she approached her manager. Hey, she said, keeping her tone neutral. I was hoping to understand why you chose Daniel for the presentation. I've been really invested in this project, and I'd love to know how I can improve for next time. Her manager looked surprised, probably expecting frustration instead of curiosity. Honestly, Claire, it wasn't about your work. Your research was excellent. But Daniel has been with the company longer, and we thought it'd be good for the client to see someone with more seniority leading the pitch. Claire nodded. That makes sense. I appreciate the explanation. Her manager smiled. I really do want you to lead one of these soon. Your work is fantastic. And just like that, the frustration evaporated. Not because the situation had changed, but because she had. That evening, as Claire walked home, she realized something. For the first time in years, she wasn't controlled by what other people did. She wasn't drowning in resentment over friendships. She wasn't internalizing every slight at work. She was finally free, and all it had taken was 2 words. Let them. A few weeks had passed since Claire had started practicing the let them theory, and the changes in her life were undeniable. She no longer felt the need to micromanage people's actions, nor did she waste energy questioning every decision that wasn't in her favor. She had found peace in simply letting go, but life, as always, had one more test waiting for her. One evening, Claire sat at her desk, going through her emails, when she saw a subject line that made her heart sink. Exciting news, promotion announcements. Her pulse quickened as she clicked the email. She skimmed the list, searching for her name. It wasn't there. She blinked, scrolled again. Nothing. Claire felt the heat rise in her chest. She had worked for this. She had taken on extra projects, stayed late, even handled tasks outside her job description. And yet, here she was, overlooked again. The old Claire would have spiraled, replaying every moment, searching for what she had done wrong. But the new Claire? She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Let them. Let them make their decisions. Let them choose who they think is best." And now, the only question was, what will I do next? She stood, grabbed her coat, and headed straight to her boss's office. "Claire, come in," her boss said warmly, but Claire could tell she knew why she was here. Claire sat down, keeping her voice steady. "I saw the promotion announcements. I wanted to check in and get feedback." Her boss sighed. "Claire, this was a really tough decision. You're doing fantastic work, and honestly, it came down to seniority. The people who were promoted have been here longer." Claire nodded. "I understand. I guess my question is, what do I need to do to be considered next time?" Her boss smiled. "That's the right attitude. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's make a plan to get you there." Claire left the office feeling lighter than she expected. No bitterness, no resentment, just clarity. Let them promote who they want. I'll focus on growing myself. That weekend, Claire and Olivia met for coffee, their usual sister tradition. Claire stirred her latte, then looked up. "You know, I think I finally get it. At first, I thought the let them theory was just about not caring. Like, oh well, people will do what they do, whatever. But it's not that at all. It's about choosing where I put my energy." Olivia nodded. "Exactly." Claire exhaled. "I didn't get the promotion. A month ago, that would have wrecked me. But now, I'm just using it as motivation. I'm not letting someone else's decision define my worth." Olivia beamed. "That's huge." Claire took a sip of her drink. "You know what's funny? Ever since I stopped forcing things, friendships, work, relationships, things have been easier." Olivia smirked. "You're learning the secret to life. The less you try to control things, the more things work out." Claire sat with that thought for a moment. She had spent so much of her life trying to be included, trying to be perfect, trying to make everything go the way she wanted. But what if she didn't have to try so hard? What if she just let life happen? For the first time, that thought didn't scare her. It felt freeing. The following week, Claire got a text from James. "Hey, a friend of mine is hiring. I told them about you. Want me to set up a call?" Claire's eyes widened. She hadn't even been looking for a new job. She had simply been focusing on her work, doing her best, and somehow an opportunity had found her. She smiled, fingers hovering over the keyboard before typing. "Claire, yes, let's do it. Let them make their decisions. Let life unfold, and let her step into what was meant for her." The Zoom interview was set for Thursday afternoon. Claire had spent the past few days researching the company, preparing responses, and fine-tuning her resume. But unlike the usual pre-interview anxiety she used to feel, this time was different. She wasn't desperate to prove herself. She wasn't obsessing over whether she would be good enough. She had already decided, if it's meant for me, it'll happen. And if it's not, let them choose someone else. When Thursday arrived, Claire logged into the call. The hiring manager, Laura, greeted her with a warm smile. "We're really excited to chat with you," Laura said. "James spoke highly of you." Claire smiled. "I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here." The interview flowed effortlessly. Claire answered questions with confidence, sharing her experiences without overthinking. At the end of the call, Laura said, "We'll be making a decision soon, but I just want to say, you're exactly the kind of person we're looking for." Claire thanked her, logged off, and leaned back in her chair. She had done her part. Now she would let them decide. 2 days later, an email popped into her inbox. "Welcome to the team." Claire's breath caught as she clicked it open. "Claire, we're thrilled to offer you the position. Looking forward to having you on board." She stared at the screen, processing the words. She got the job. She got the job. A grin spread across her face as she grabbed her phone to text Olivia. Claire, I got it. Olivia, I knew it. Proud of you, sis. You manifested that Claire laughed. Maybe Olivia was right. She had let go of what wasn't working, and something better had found her. The next few weeks flew by as Claire transitioned into her new role. The work was challenging, but fulfilling. She felt valued, seen, and, most importantly, at peace. She no longer spent hours agonizing over what people thought of her. She no longer wasted energy trying to force friendships, relationships, or opportunities. Instead, she let things flow. And for the first time in her life, everything felt easier. One evening, Claire received a call from Sarah. Hey, we're doing a girls' trip in a few weeks, Sarah said, renting a cabin in Maine. You in? Claire smiled. A few months ago, she would have needed this invitation. She would have analyzed every word, wondering if she was truly wanted. But now? Now she didn't need it. She wanted to go, but she didn't need it to validate her worth. I'd love to, she said, count me in. And just like that, life kept unfolding beautifully, effortlessly, all because she had finally learned to let go, to let them, to let herself. If Claire's journey resonated with you, it's because we've all been there, overthinking, overanalyzing, and overinvesting in things we can't control. But here's the truth. You don't have to chase, convince, or force anything in life. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them make their own choices. And you, let yourself be free. Free from the weight of others' opinions. Free from the constant need for validation. Free to focus on what you can control. Your actions, your growth, your happiness. The beauty of the let them theory isn't just about letting others be who they are. It's about allowing yourself to step into your own power. So today I ask you, what can you let go of? Where can you shift your focus from them to you? Because when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, life has a way of working out better than you ever imagined. Let them, let go, let yourself rise, and watch what happens next.